you guys this because you guys will learn how to count from me. This is the Warfender skills no one ever talks about by Roan K_actual.
Your silhouette. Whenever you're conducting movement,
The number one
the
is your
first
silhouette.
fundamental is understanding the importance of your silhouette. Whenever you're conducting movement across the map, you always need to be aware of how the color of your tank interacts with the environment around you. If you don't use bushes, this is even more critical for you, as most tanks have very unnatural shapes, angles, and...
That's why bushes are so OP. That's why bushes are so OP. Because you can break up your silhouette. Especially when you use your tail in ridgeline. You want bushes, man.
colors, which makes it even harder to fit into your environment. The fastest way between 2 points is a straight line. However, generally in military terms, the straight line is usually the most dangerous route. Let's move on to our first example to illustrate this point. Here you can see a tiger on top of a ridgeline. Notice how the dark color of the tank is compared to the sky.
It's called silhouetting, Ren. He's silhouetting.
Also notice how the sharp angles on the tank don't fit within this environment. This is a perfect example of showing how a silhouette works and how it also shows how risky it is to traverse on the crests of hills and ridgelines where your silhouette is at pure force when you have the sky as your background.
So what you want to do here, instead of just going over, literally just drive around like this. Just drive here. Easy.
This screenshot shows the same tank but
there
traveling
you go.
underneath the crest of the hill. The tank still doesn't fit with its surroundings with its color and angles, but the silhouette against the grass is less prevalent because the grass is a darker color than the light blue sky. Let's see how these two screenshots play out in an actual battle. Here we are on the map Carpathians, in which I'm sure a lot of you have experience playing on. This area is directly outside of the team on the northeast spawn.
Oh, there's Chamberty's old map. You remember how they fucking butchered it?
Heading towards the A point. Now, the most direct route from the spawn to the A point would travel over the top of this ridgeline, whereas the less traveled route, or a longer distance, would take the road down at a lower elevation. Our vehicle is going to...
The thing is, though, this is like by spawn, so you're probably fine. This is a bad example, because this is right by spawn. So just go over the hill, you'll be fine. Unless you're being spawn camped, but like, it's like, we're talking about here, I think. Oh, we're talking about here. It's this hill right there. He's talking about this hill, this inside spawn. Just go around, you're fine. Just go over it.
to be simulated being placed at the border of F4 and F5. And we are going to be looking towards the enemy northern spawn around the C5 area. I play on Ultra Max graphics, and here's what it looks like to see a tank crossing at the highest point of the hill where its silhouette is visible against the sky. As you see in the distance, you can clearly see an enemy tank crossing the crest of that hill against the blue.
And when you zoomed in, you can see it, guys. But reminder, like this point of view we're seeing right now is exposed to the entire enemy team. No one ever sits here. This isn't somewhere people said you're completely exposed if you sit here, especially from the hill up here. With the castle.
You don't even need binoculars to see that guy. All you have to be doing is...
That love. He says, you don't even need binoculars to see him. Which is true. But he's like zoomed in like crazy. It's like 10 times
paying
zoom.
a little bit of attention. Now, let me show you a clip of what it looks like when an enemy is not traversing the crest of the hill, but rather in front of it, like the second screenshot I just showed you. Okay, so here we can see the tank traversing on the front side of the hill and not at the crest. Any experienced player could still see that tank, but as you can see, it doesn't...
You have to be blind to not see him.
...stand out nearly as much of when it crested the top of the hill. Whenever you travel the map, never use the crest of hills or ridges.
You know, the thing is, he's right. I'm just nitpicking. There are definitely scenarios where you want to go around instead of over. But this one was a bad example.
As they provide unnecessary exposure and risk, especially at top tier. The second fundamental is understanding and utilizing dead space. In layman's terms, dead space refers to any area that you know is there, but you cannot directly observe it or provide direct fire upon. So we are on Fields of Poland. We just captured the C point, and we're down here in F5. Now, in close proximity to
I've
my
never,
direct...
I've never heard that. I've never heard that. That saying. You place Dead Space. I never heard that saying before.
front, I can see the grassy plain and a few bushes. In the distance, I can see a lot of trees, and I can see these rolling little hills. Now, if we look to the left, we can actually see a dirt road. However, the more right we go, we can't see the road anymore, but we know the road is there. The road is in that little piece of...
What? Is this lesson? Is this lesson trying to teach more from the players about object permanence? We can't see the road, but it's still there. No way!
low ground in between the plain to my front
What is
and the
this?
hills in the back. So that road to the right of my screen that I cannot directly
Even though we cannot see it, the road is still there, guys. Okay? It does not cease to exist.
observe because of the nature of the ground, that would be considered dead space. We know it's there, but we can't directly observe it or shoot that way.
This is literally object permanence. What the fuck is he talking about? Guys, even though you can't directly see it, it still exists. Okay? Keep that in mind. Even though you can't directly see it, it's still a thing that exists.
Whenever you're attacking or conducting a flank, you want to utilize as much dead space as possible. This minimizes the chance of your detection and increases the chances of you...
What? Okay. Why is he saying dead space? He means cover. You want to utilize cover when you're flanking.
catching an enemy off guard. On the defensive, you want to pick a position with limited dead space to decrease the opponent's ability to flank and surprise you. And if you're familiar with the map and know where the dead space is, you can spoil their surprises. Now, let's switch to the point of view of a potential enemy.
What is this fucking video? If you learn the flanking routes and what cover is and what the ground is, you'll be doing really good.
Enemy that's trying to defend the C point, and he's looking out over that grassy field.
Yeah, the concept is literally there's cover and there might be someone driving behind there. There is cover and you can't see if there's an enemy there. That's the whole lesson, I think.
See if you can spot the puma traveling through the dead space.
What is this exercise? What? See if you can see the puma that's hiding behind cover. What? What are you talking about? He's on my screen. What are you talking about? What? Dude, what? This is such a ridiculous. This is so dumb. This is so dumb. How is it still going? Why are you doing this right now? What?
How many times?
That was it? What the fuck was that? It's literally... Can you see the puma behind the hill? No, I can't. It's behind the hill. But can you see the puma hiding behind the building? No? I can't see him because he's behind the building. Wow, what a revolutionary idea. What?
Times did you see the puma? Let's go back and watch it again, and I'll put an arrow above the puma where it is when it pops out.
What? This is a crazy video. This is actually a crazy video.
We
I mean, that is
actually
the basics. It is the like a mega basics, I guess. Guys, tanks can move behind cover. That's lesson number 2. Lesson number 2. Tanks can move behind cover. Even though you can't see him, he can move.
only able to physically see the puma 3 times while it conducted its movement, therefore highlighting the importance of how effective Dead space
see
can
it?
be
The
when
goats
you're
were right behind
conducting
the
any
hill.
sort of attack or flank on an
Absolute
enemy
chills.
position or capture point.
Fallout
The
vibes.
third
the
movement
look.
fundamental is called a seals check. This type of check in
What? What? I've been playing War Thunder for thousands of hours. I've never heard Dead Space. I never heard Soul Check. What do you call it? SLL check?
your point. The third movement fundamental is called a seals check. This type of check in real-world tactics is what we do during dismounted operations, but since War Thunder engines are so loud, you can actually conduct this stop in the game. It actually stands for stop, look, listen, and smell, but since it's a video game and can't smell anything, we'll just call it a seal stop. Stop, look, and listen. It can be super tempting to move until contact, but then you run the risk of getting caught out of position or by surprise. By stopping, looking, and listening after every few hundred meters, you can reduce the risk of getting detected and increase your own chances of detecting those close aboard.
People need and like this is like obvious, but people need this. I need this too. I should just hold W until I crash.
Opponents. We have all been in situations at some point in time in War Thunder where there was an enemy right next to us and we didn't realize it because they were sitting still while we were moving. Lastly, let's talk about Kaz.
I
We
don't
have
think I
all
should show you
seen
guys
the
this
rage
because
Kaz
you guys
can
will learn how to counter me.
induce, and while there is no way to completely eliminate the threat of Kaz, you can take these steps to reduce the amount of times you get taken out by airplanes. When you're doing your route planning, always make sure you have some buildings or tall trees along your path. This isn't always a possibility because some maps are more open than others, but like I said, there is no way to completely eliminate the risk. All you can do is your best to mitigate it. First tip to survive Kaz: make yourself an extension of an already
Tip number
existing
one.
object.
Hide. What do you think tip number 2 is?
In this example,
Tip number 1 is hide. What do you think tip number 2 is?
we're on Eastern Europe and our KV-2 looking towards the sea point. I hear planes coming, so I decided to rub against this house for cover. Now, from an aerial perspective, there I am. But if you zoom out to what a cast player would see, I look like an extension of the building. Even if he does see me, he has to line up the perfect bomb run to take me out. Therefore, this might discourage their attempt, and they might search for an easier target. Second tip for Kaz: find foliage to hide under.
Tip number 1,
Later
hide.
we continue
Tip number 2, hide. Let's see the third tip.
to push forward into the forest. Again, I hear planes, so I duck under this tree. From an aerial point of view, there are only certain angles in which I'm visible, but the color of my tank mixed with the natural foliage increases my chance of not being seen. Third tip for Kaz: never conduct your movement unnecessarily or stop in the open except to shoot.
But
Here I
he's
am
right though.
traveling through
It's
the woods
it's
and
way,
then-
way easier to see a moving target than someone sitting still. So if you open it hit by cast, sit still. Smell.
The open ground. Look at the difference between being able to spot my tank from when I'm traveling in the woods versus the open ground. I'm a sitting duck in the open, and I should have continued farther into the woods if I wanted to really stay alive. Here, I'm stopped in the open. I'm not moving, but now there's no close similar colors. Anyone who zooms the camera on me will be able to determine I'm a target. Always try to conduct and stop your movement within foliage or next
It
to
is safe, just
structures
hide
or
that,
some
is safe.
other object to break your silhouette
Hide.
from the top. Final tip for Kaz: limit your machine gun fire to just a couple
a
short
good one, it's a good
bursts. We all know how
It's like
tempting
this one actually real. This one actually real, guys.
it is to want to spray a bunch of machine gun rounds at enemy tanks so they become lit for our teammates. You only need a couple of rounds to do so. You don't need to dump the whole magazine. The longer you sustain your fire, the easier it is to see the tracers from the sky, and it also allows the enemy pilot to really focus and zero in where specifically you are and where he needs to drop his bomb. However, if you use a couple short bursts instead, every time you shoot, the opponent's going to have to refocus and try and figure out where you are. It'll cost them more time, which they might get frustrated and choose a different target, or if you have friendly aircraft, they can jump in the fight. And really, the only tip I have to kind of minimize the effect of revenge bombing is every time you take an opponent
That's
out,
just
try
in
to
general.
change your position. But otherwise, I think that's just an element of the game that we're all just gonna have to suffer with for the foreseeable future. I guarantee that if you take these fundamentals into account when you play War Thunder, you'll see an increase in your performance and efficacy as well. I know for me personally, I would rather get the same amount of RP playing 10 good games versus playing 20 poor games. If you learned anything or enjoyed the video today, please consider hitting
Yeah,
that
guys,
like and subscribe
like
button.
and subscribe,
let
please.
me know down in the comments comments how these fundamentals help you in your battles. Also, if there's a question or a topic or a vehicle that you want me to cover on the channel, leave that in the comments as well,
Please
and I'll
cover
do
the
my best to see if I
Falcon,
can't get a
please.
video out.
I mean, he's right. The fundamentals are right, but they're like so mega obvious.